Sometime in 2017, while I was playing Advance Wars 2, my brother told me about a fabled game series. This game was another SRPG. However, it contained a mechanic that scared my preteen mind. Permadeath. Imagine if after losing a mission in Advance Wars, Olaf guns down Andy in cold blood. Fire Emblem is one of my favorite game franchises. If Final Fantasy Tactics Advance and Advance Wars was me dipping my toes into SRPGs, Fire Emblem was me swimming. Obviously, it's not the most technical or even difficult, but over time, it's become comforting for me. Blazing Blade especially, since that was my introduction into the franchise. Over time, I've been trying the other ones. Sacred Stones, Awakening, Shadow Dragon, Three Houses, Path of Radiance. But after a while, a thought developed. How was the first one? I went into Fire Emblem, Shadow Dragon and Blade of Light, with a couple half-hearted expectations. The same ones I carry for almost any Fire Emblem game. Legendary swords, dragon children, evil mages, and dead parents. Think me in this case less of a reviewer and more of a tourist. Unsurprisingly, a good chunk of the Fire Emblem DNA is from this game. A lot of what we will continue to attribute as either stereotypes or personality for this series start from here. I'm not sure if the series being mostly iterative from this game is a good thing. That's a problem for other Fire Emblem games to deal with. Let's start. Prince Marth has to reclaim his nation Altia from the evil mage Garnif and the shadow dragon Medius, as well as avenge his father. Okay, no, there is more to that. Marth gets exiled and has to rally an army across the lands along with his allies Yagan and Kaida, and some other people. He frees a dragon child, kills Garnif, rescues his sister, and then enters the dragon castle to kill Medius. Personally, story's fine. Classic hero's quest to reclaim his kingdom. It's far from my favorite Fire Emblem story, but it works for what it is. I especially like Camus. No real reason, Camus just looks cool. To its benefit, some of the combat has aged really well. It is different from a lot of the later titles, starting with the weapon triangle. The whole axe beats spear beats sword beats axe just wasn't a thing. Instead, the only real differences they have is accuracy and damage built in. Spears top out at the most damage, however have slightly less accuracy than swords. Swords have slightly less damage, but hit more consistently. Most of the time. Axes just suck. Outside of some early use they don't have a silver variety, they have terrible accuracy, and their users can't promote. I do love bows this time around. Unlike some later titles, bow users are a real tangible threat to your survival, and your own bow users, George and Gordon, can handle a lot of units, especially flyers. Magic, on the other hand, is definitely different. Due to magic scaling to the tome and not the user's stats, most spells will fall off really harshly as the game goes on, and some like fire will never even be useful to begin with. This can be turned into a benefit. Some spells can be used to soften up tougher foes so that units that need that XP can claim an easy kill. But aside from that, they don't really serve a bigger purpose. You do get a larger variety of spells. There's no light, dark, anima limitations like in later titles, so all mages can use all spellbooks. Spells like Thoron and Worm are really powerful, but things like Worm have terrible accuracy. I don't like this. Unlike physical units, who do get scaling to stronger weapons and silver variety being pretty accurate while also doing a lot of damage, mages are not only stuck with fixed damage, but also accuracy that only gets worse the stronger the tome is. Luckily, the legendary spells can be acquired fairly easily and they don't suffer from a similar fate. However, the death nail for this game, and definitely for me the biggest mark of its age, is its storage system. Admittedly, I've grown cushy. The later installments have turned the lords into storage systems. But hell, even games like Binding Blade that had Merlinus managed to make it less of a hassle. The main issue I have with the storage system is its small quantity of space and horrible turn cost. This problem extends out to all shops and interaction points in the game. However, it shows up far more frequently here. After using a storage to grab an item or to store an item, your turn is immediately used up. Sure, it works like this in later titles. However, you can't do anything with the items you just got back immediately after. This means that if you, say, grabbed a stat booster or a weapon, you have to spend extra turns equipping or consuming those items, which will spend even more turns. You also cannot re-equip your troops between battle. This means that you have to spend more turns at the start of a fight or at the end of a fight preparing for the next conflict. I understand a lot of these complaints are due to the age of the game, and thankfully, many of these drawbacks get smoothened out as the series goes along. I'm not going to dwell too much on the playable cast, due to them having minimal involvement in the plot, aside from specific characters like Marth and Kaida. Most are disposable and interchangeable. This is before the series implemented the social conversations that each character can have, hence they're pretty bare bones. Each I'll run through and give my 2 cents on. I will not talk about characters I didn't use, so this list should be hopefully pretty short. Kaida starts pathetically weak, but spends some time leveling, promoting, and feeding power rings, and she will outpace your strongest units by a mile. Yagin, really good early on at tanking and dealing with tougher targets, but stops being useful the moment you get a single other unit past level 5. Abel, I had no hopes. Sade and Lance, I rarely saw performing exceptionally, yet despite that, Abel might be the best damn unit in the whole game, if you put your time to make him good anyway. By the end, he capped every single stat other than health and resistance. This was with 0 stat boosters as well. Draug. He makes me sad. For whatever reason, armored knights can't be promoted into generals, meaning he can never reach his full power. On that note, he's really good for walling till the early mid-game where his innate defense stops being useful. Gordon. Gordon is my favorite character in this game, not because he's funny or well written, but just because I love the look on his face. As an archer, he's okay, in the start. Well, not that good. Going forward, he will start to fall off, but goddammit, I made him work somehow anyway. Seeing that smile as he misses a killing blow on a slow dragon rider is what I play these games for. Breeze. Good healer when you have none. However, is terrible for your long-term health. Healers don't get XP for healing, so there's no sense in using anything other than a sage with a mend staff. Replace the moment you get Vendel. Ogma. Ogma looks so cool, and for me, he had to die on the first level you get him. I was looking so forward to using the Deke of this game, but now I can't. Julian. Earliest thief, and also my favorite. Invaluable as time passes. Navarre. Takes some time to really become that edgelord swordsman archetype, but once he's ready, he can cut through anything. Merrick. Best wizard in the game, worth every kill you feed him. Wendell. Easily one of the most important units for the mid to late game. Bulky sage, great staff user, and even good in a scrap or two. George. Very serviceable archer and can easily outpace Gordon on the battlefield. He's also pretty good looking. Minerva. Disappointment. Minerva plays like Yagin if I was still using him. Every kill she doesn't manage, she either misses or is outsped by. Lind. Trained her with diligence, hard work, and skill, through which she grows into a strong, powerful sage, and subsequently gets one-shot by a bullshit silver sword crit. Hala. Only Pegasus' sister who rose to the occasion. Est I got too late, and Katria died tragically. Samson. I love Samson. His smile is rivaled only by Gordon. Sad that he died in the late game. His health is cripplingly low. Zane. Zane can turn into any character for a couple turns. Boom! He can be a second Kaida, second Abel, even second Marth. Tiki. She's okay. I didn't get enough mileage out of her, but I also didn't want to. She can be really good, but this late in, I couldn't care less. Lawrence. Lawrence does the almost impossible. Be a really good wall. Slightly wish you could get him sooner though. Goto. I used him as a warp and fortify bot. He saved Pala's life multiple times. And finally, the main character. Marth. The first lord, and honestly, he's a pretty good one. His damage caps rather early, but with 1 or 2 power rings and an angel robe, he can turn that around fast. His early capped speed and skill means top accuracy and hits. Pair this with his 2 unique weapons and he can easily carry the front line. Mercurius can tear through almost any unit, and the falchion lets him do backflips. He does suck in the mid game, however. Retroactively, I now should have asked instead, is Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon and Blade of Light worth playing? In the year 2025, over 3.5 decades later. Yeah, it is. It's old, slow, likely emulated, and feels clunky in many places. But that's rarely dissuaded me from playing anything. It's a strangely fresh perspective, especially after seeing how far and how different the series has become over time. Okay, not all that different. If anything, it's worth trying just to see how the franchise started. and Gordon's gorgeous smile. Thanks for watching, there's no outro. Goodbye!